Okay, we are recording. So I want to thank everybody who is either here live or is catching the replay. And I just want to say thank you for coming to check us out and coming to learn how to live life with ease. It is possible. And I want to give you an opportunity to learn some of the ways that I do that. So if you have not met me before, my name is Lindsay Dunlap, and I am with Lindsay Dunlap Coaching, because who else would be? But I work and teach women who are just overwhelmed and stressed out how to live beyond those labels that we have put on ourselves and that we have received from others, and really live a life fulfilled. And so I got into this journey a few years ago after my husband was involved in a farm accident, and he lost his left leg through that farm accident. And when you want to talk about overwhelm and you want to talk about stress, so you have an opportunity to care for your spouse when you have a 3-year-old and a 4-month-old, and you're working full time and you're just trying to keep your head above water. So that is real, and that is the experience that we had. And I have been able to take that experience and now get to share with others, which I adore. And that's why I wanted to invite you here. So I want to give you my biggest lesson, my biggest takeaway of how to live life with more ease. It doesn't always have to be heavy or chaotic. So right now, you may be living life with the experience and the belief that it's hard, or that it's exhausting, or that it's never fun, or it's full of responsibility. But you want it to be fun and easy and exciting and relaxing. So what's stopping you? What's getting in your way? What's stopping any of us from having those experiences? So I learned a few years ago, and I get reminded of it often, that you are both your problem and your solution. So everything that is creating the problem can also create the life you envision. And maybe you can't even envision it right now because it seems so impossible, but everything that's creating that problem is right here. It's between your 2 ears. That's creating the problem. It's the thoughts that we bring into our space that then create a belief that we are stressed, or that we are exhausted, or that we are busy. So I want you, and I'm going to assume that you are not either here or watching this, unless you want this too. I want you to have a life that's fun, and I want you to have a life that feels easy. But it's going to start first with feeling easier. So I also tell my clients a lot of times that you're not going to jump from beginning to end in one session or in one thought, or it's not like you flip a switch overnight and that you are all of a sudden this completely different person. If that's the expectation, it's just like weight loss journey. I recently started working with a nutritionist, and let me tell you, as much as I would love to wake up tomorrow and be 20 pounds lighter and fitting into a lot of new clothes, it's just not how things work. And when you set yourself up with a belief or a thought that it could be, then you're setting yourself up for disappointment. And that's where you're feeling disappointed, and that it's hard, and that it's tiring. It starts with that thought. So I want it to be fun. I want it to be easy, and it can be, but you're never going to give it a chance if you keep thinking and saying that it's hard and that you're exhausted. or I never get to have any fun, or adulting is hard, or I don't want to be so responsible. I have said all of those things, but they don't get you anywhere. And that's what I want to work through in this time that we have together, is starting to create that life of ease with a shift in your words and your thoughts. So your thoughts, you're generating without even knowing it. It's just, it's automatic a lot of times, those thoughts that come up in your head. But when you're able to really take ownership of those thoughts that are coming in, and you're really able to kind of take inventory of what those thoughts may be and how they are affecting you, then you're going to find it a little bit easier to then change the words that you're using, and you're going to start to feel a relief, a less stress. You might stand up a little taller. You might go, oh, well, that day wasn't, that was easier than it had been last week, even with the same schedule. So I'm going to walk you through some exercises, some questions to ask yourself. And this is a workshop for a reason. I want you to put the work in, because as much as I can tell you what to do, it's not going to change anything for you unless you take some of the action, right? So my first question for you, and you can write this down, or you can come back and watch the replay and you can do it all over again. But the first thing I want you to think about, and I want you to answer, is on a scale of 1 to 10, how possible do you believe it is to change your story? So right now you have a story, a belief that life is chaotic, or life is busy, or that I'm always tired. No matter what I do, I'm always tired. Those stories right now are real for you because you keep replaying them. But how possible do you feel like it is to change that story? So on a scale of 1 to 10, I want you to jot it down on a piece of paper. 1 being never going to happen, or 10 is absolutely, I'm going to push that button and it's going to change overnight. I would suspect that if you're at a 1, you're probably not going to hang out with me much longer. but if you're creeping up towards that 10, then you've come for a reason. You're tuning into this for a reason, because you recognize that something can change and you have control over that. So I am a sucker for law of attraction. I don't know whether anybody follows law of attraction or not, but I adore listening to Abraham Hicks, who talks all day, every day about the law of attraction. And Abraham Hicks tells us that a belief is just a thought that we keep thinking. So we have conditioned ourselves to understand that as true. The more you think the thought, it becomes a belief. So think about some of the things that we may learn as children, that later we find out in our adulthood that may not be as true as what our parents told us that was. Or we go to school and we have teachers tell us something that maybe it was true for them, and it gets told in such a way because it is a belief of theirs that without question, we take it on as a belief of ourselves, for ourselves. So you have these people in your life that you trust beyond a shadow of a doubt, and for no other reason should not believe them that it's true. But when you think about all of those stories, think about the words that you're using, those beliefs that you are believing, and what that weight is for you. So now is here how you're going to start rebuilding your belief that life can be easier. So today we're going to go through a couple different things, couple different steps. And if you're watching the replay, you can pause me at any time and take some time to do these exercises. But the first thing, when you are rebuilding these beliefs, these stories of how life is hard and how it is painful or how it is difficult, the first thing that can be the most powerful, I want you to make a list. I want you to write down all of the stories, all of the beliefs that make life feel difficult or feel challenging. Whether it's, your balance of work and home life, whether it's that your kids never listen, whether it's that everybody around you could care less about what you have to say, whatever those stories are, I want you to take the time to write those down. Just psychologically, like putting them on paper is going to take some of the stress away. And it helps relieve some of that anxiety that we build up, because when they're stuck in your head, you're getting to build off of that. But when you put them on paper, it takes some of the power away already. So there's step one, take some of the power away just from writing them down. Now, when you have written your list out, I want you to look at that list. Look at the list and see what stands out to you the most. Which story for you has the most energy behind it? So we're all energy. Words have energy. Everything is energy in motion. Even when you have those stories written out on a sheet of paper, that has energy to it. So one of those is probably going to stand out a little bit more than another. So whichever one stood out the most to you is the one I want you to start with today, or whenever you go through this exercise. So that's the one you're going to start with. And I want you to then think about and write down on that sheet of paper, how does that story make you feel? When you're playing that story in your head of, I never have time, I can't get anything done, my to-do list never ends. Whatever that story is, how do you feel when you are playing it over in your head? Think about how your body is feeling. Are you tense? Are you relaxed? Are you anxious? What is your body feeling? And then what words are coming up? So think about, again, those words that we use, that story that we have is then creating a belief of how we feel. And so write down all of those words and all of those feelings that you have around that one story. And sometimes this is going to take longer than others because sometimes you don't even allow yourself to think about it. You just automatically feel tension in your body. You can't maybe even put words to it yet. But now that you've been able to, even if it's just one word, maybe if it's just one description, you have now given yourself the gift of having a meaning to that story, to those words that describe that situation. That's the energy that you are bringing into your day every day. So if you feel anxious when you think about not having any time, you're showing up every day anxious. How productive is that for you? Like, do you feel like you're making progress, or do you feel like you're never getting anything done? Those are two very different feelings if you think about it. And again, so many of us don't even take the time to sit and think about it. So you've come up with the stories that you have about how life may be hard or challenging or stressful or whatever it may be, and you've picked one. Then with that top one that you chose, the one that jumped out on the page to you, you wrote down how it made you feel. What feelings and thoughts came up? What words could describe it? So now that defines the energy. And 9 times out of 10, that's not productive. It's dragging you down. Again, everything is energy. It's either going to build you up and really help energize you, like we like to think of energy, or it's going to drag you down and it's going to have that heaviness to it. So if it's not productive and you want to have productive thoughts, that's probably why you're here. So here's the magic. And it's really not magic, but I feel like it is sometimes. So it's a matter of pick different words. And it sounds so easy, doesn't it? Just pick different words to describe it. And it is change. It is different than you have done in the past. But that doesn't mean it has to be hard. And it doesn't mean that it has to be impossible. It just means that it's different. I like to equate this to when I try to get my kids to eat new food. And usually they say it tastes awful. I say, you've really only eaten a crumb of it. So I'm not sure how you can decide what it tastes like, but it's different. Or when they say somebody looks weird, well, they look different than what you're used to. Or it's a different outfit than what you're used to. It doesn't mean it looks bad. It doesn't mean it looks awful. It's different. And those have different energies. They have different feelings. So again, it's not going to be automatic. And I don't want you to think that it automatically has to be the complete opposite thought. So if you think about it, you may have a thought of maybe your kids are not listening. I hear my kids not listening right now, actually. But maybe you have a thought that my kids never listen, they never pay attention, they never do what I ask them to do. If you automatically tried to flip the script and tried to say, oh, my kids are angels, my kids do everything that they're supposed to do, and I never have any problems, how realistic is that you would even remotely believe any of that? Because you've seen the past, you've seen a past experience, and you're like, that's just not true. They're not perfect. They're not listening all the time. Lindsay, how can you tell me that I have to pick better feeling thoughts or different words? Because that's not going to work. That's why I want you to pick progressive words. Don't try to go from 0 to 1,000. Instead of saying, my kids never listen to me, you can shift the belief with phrases like, my kids are learning every day. My kids are getting better and better every day. My kids are growing every day. Does that mean they're going to listen 24 hours a day, 7 days a week? No. But it's a lighter, more productive energy behind those words that don't weigh you down as heavy. They don't drag you into this feeling of, gosh, my kids are never going to listen. I don't know how parents do this. They're growing. I mean, science tells us their brains are not developed. They have to learn these things just like we did. And when we give them an opportunity to learn, instead of this expectation where you're just never going to listen. If you never expect them to listen, then what are they going to do? They're probably never going to listen. But if they're learning and growing and making progress, think about how that feels different. So it's not always about shifting the belief from the opposite to the opposite. It's being progressive in your thoughts, being open to the possibilities that things could and can and will be different. So after you've gone through and you've written out your stories and you've written out how those stories are making you feel, so now you have that definition, that meaning behind them, I want you to take a few minutes and see what some of those more progressive beliefs that you can write out. And again, this is something really new to you probably, and it may feel a little foreign and maybe a little uncomfortable. And you may be thinking, nope, this is too hard. But I want you to pick a new thought. I want you to think about, this is exciting to learn something new, or this is really interesting. I'll have to see what I come up with. So we're moving ourselves out of this box. We're moving ourselves out of the trained thinking of, I don't like doing new things, or it's too hard to do new things. So we get to start creeping out of that box a little bit. So I wanted to try to keep this short and sweet. And so I in my last few minutes, I want to be able to, one, say, share your feedback. Let me know. I'm so excited to hear when you're able to go through this exercise, what comes up for you? What were your new stories? What do you want to think differently about that helps you feel more ease in life, less stress, more productive energy taking you through your day? So I definitely want to hear what comes up for you as you're working through this. And if you work through this and you find that you're like, hey, this actually kind of works, how about that? And you want to take on some more exercises, I am actually going to be hosting a 10-day confidence sprint. It's going to be in a private Facebook community. So it's going to be starting on Monday. It's coming up. So starting on Monday, in a private group, I am going to be walking you through each day some different areas of your life where you may feel like confidence is lacking, and you want to be able to really make more impact in those areas. So I'm going to drop a link, if I can do this while I talk at the same time. I'm going to drop a link in the comments. And then I will include it in the replay as well. If you want to add into the 10-day confidence sprint, again, starting on Monday. And then if you're like, what the heck, I'm going to go all in. Like, this is really working and I want to be able to have more of it. And I need this type of energy in my life because I want to shift where my life is headed. And I want to start tearing away all of those labels that are slapped on me and that are making me feel stressed and overwhelmed and tired. I would love to welcome you into the Warrior Bootcamp. So Warrior Bootcamp is my 8-week group experience. We start on May 10th. And that is an opportunity to really tap in and tune into that warrior that we all have within us, that guiding force that sometimes we silence because it gets a little uncomfortable, or because that mean girl in our head tells us that it's maybe not a good idea. And we're going to help wake that warrior up, and we're going to help her guide us. And I love this course and I love working through it with a group of women. So if you are thinking like, hey, I might as well go all in and make this count, I would love to welcome you into that community as well. You also get an awesome new sweatshirt. So who doesn't love free swag for joining into a new community? So I know everybody's got plenty to do, and I don't want to make your life more stressful than it is. So I hope that this had added value to you. I hope that you're able to take away some experiences from this exercise that you can implement and really practice. I am all about practice. When I say that I'm trying something, I feel like it tells me that I'm already going to fail. So I like to practice. So practice these things, practice every day, or practice once a week, whatever helps you feel more at ease. It's all about what's going to help you. So hopefully, again, you found value in this and it serves you. And if you have any other questions about anything, please reach out. I would love to hear your feedback of, again, what you are doing through these exercises. And I look forward to hearing from you. So have a great evening.